Clash Royale.
Well, here you have it, guys. 10-5, 4-0 versus Zerg, versus 1-4 and 0-3 versus Terran.
Okay, and the most even matchup that we've seen all night, 1-1. I can count those numbers, Brendan.
I wonder when that game was played, because it wasn't this season of Pro League.
I'm sure Artosis knows. Like, well, back on June 21st, 2013. And then he just pulls those stats out. But either way, we don't know, but we're going to watch it right here. And okay, yeah, nobody is going to vote against INoVation here, although Losira, very sneaky. We'll see what he can bring out here for KT, because it's still game point. Losira wins, then KT wins, and they will be going on to tomorrow, to the next day, to try to really close things out. So that's going to do it. Game number 6. Can INoVation keep SK Telecom fights alive? We'll find out in game number 6.
Down here in the bottom right, in the red, KT's hope to keep it away from an ace match. It is Losira.
And in the upper left-hand corner, this is the force of change in the world around us. It's INoVation.
Funnily enough, he doesn't play like that at all. He's
That's very true. He's actually just
robotic
like
player that
very
we have.
standard.
Yeah. He's like trying to be the Flash, where it's like, I'm just going to be the best mechanical player ever, and I'm just going to bash your head in with my mechanics and my macro.
Yep.
I'm going to have more stuff than you, and I'm going to attack you at a timing that is good for me and not good for you, and then I'm just going to kill you, and that's it.
That's not water in his bottle. It's like, I don't know, WD-40. Got to keep everything all oiled up there. But yeah, we actually do get a chance to see these guys face off against each other tonight for our amusement, and get to see how quickly INoVation can spam his 500 useless APM here at the beginning of the game. Well, it's still intimidation. I think that they should actually show APM to the other player.
Yeah,
that way
an APM off in the beginning of the
game. You have your little brother come over and spam on some keys that you don't have bound to anything. It's like, oh my god, this guy is so good.
5,000 APM. That's
my
Losira,
God.
man. He does it by himself. He's got the octopus hand, the tarantula
we actually already
hand.
saw Leenock play. He's the Lean Octopus. So then you're like, wait, aren't you supposed to have 10 fingers? Why do you only have 8? It's like, because I only need that many. But now we actually get a chance to see how the builds are going early on. It's just going to be that early scouting Reaper. We should see an expansion. Oh, I'm so good.
Oh, man.
How did I know?
Wow, Rapid. You're on point tonight.
I really am. I know what buildings do. They get built.
That they do. And Terrans specifically are the ones that build them. And this is going to be an interesting match, because generally when we see Frozen Temple, we get into these long macro games, and Losira's no chump. You know, we like to talk a lot about INoVation, his crazy macro, his mechanics, how good of a player he is. He's robotic. You know, we take it to that level. Which makes him really good, right? But Losira is really good at, getting down, getting scrappy, getting into weird situations. And maybe he wants to mix it up. Maybe he wants to go for a timing of his own, but he definitely can hold his own in a long macro game here against INoVation.
That's very true.
He likes to drop, he likes to be aggressive with backdooring tactics. And there's a lot of opportunity to do that on this map. You can attack the forward, you can run by Banelings into the Terrans natural,
oh,
you can try to drop.
Where have we seen this strat before, Brendan?
Oh, boy.
It's a cyclone, and I'm not talking about a natural disaster. It's coming out here, but if there is that big swell of Zerglings again, that obviously would punish this build very, very hard. Now, it doesn't look like that's what we're going to see, although speed is about to complete. Not quite as much pressure on this somewhat interesting cyclone opening.
The last person we saw do this was Dream, right? It's another Terran who's playing on a 2-player map against a Zerg, who's actually very similar in play style. Losira and Leenock definitely, very scrappy Zerg players, can definitely get aggressive.
Oh, he's actually going to get that creep tumor. Nice. Pick off by the Reaper. It's like, oh my god, Brendan, a Reaper did something before in the early game.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this for me is that we're actually going to get to see this build played out instead of just shut down by 22 Zerglings at 3 minutes into the game.
Yeah, he's not going to get his dreams crushed.
Yeah.
Unlike Dream the player. So yeah, we are actually just going to see a ton of Cyclones coming. There is that Cyclone upgrade that only nerds know the name of.
Magfield Accelerator.
There you go.
I'm like, I needed to know it for that one cast the first time we saw it, and now it's just stuck into my brain. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that is, man. Certified nerd over here.
Nobody's going to revoke Brendan's nerd card anytime soon. All right, so here come at least a few Speedlings coming out, and after watching some of the earlier games, it's always nice to see early detection. Oh, actually, no, that was Drop Overlord morphing. Damn it. It's going to make a joke. All right, well, either way.
Good effort, good effort.
Damn it, so close. And yet, so far, third base coming up here for Losira as finally these upgraded, or well, almost upgraded Cyclones come out. And that is not enough Speedlings. Because thankfully, there are Hellions that exist in the game.
And you know what? We were talking about this in the first game that we saw this in. We were like, well, the Lings, they wouldn't do this much damage if he was given another minute to get Hellions out. And this is what's happening. And I'm beginning to see the reasoning behind this build. If you're going against a Ling Queen kind of defense here, the Cyclones are good against the Queens, and the Hellions are good against the Lings. And even once you kill a small amount of Lings, the Queens are the backbone of the defense. And if there's only Queens, and you burst them down with Magfield Accelerator, well, then you're going to be able to snipe a lot of Queens over and over. And you can get into this nice composition as well. It's not like you need to kill the Zerg from here, but you can get so many Overlords on the map as well.
I like this play here by Losira, actually getting a sneaky, cheeky little Lings. Wow!
Oh, man.
Oh man, I got that deja vu where the Cyclone gets caught on the ramp right there.
INoVation's little robot heart, just a small malfunction. He's like, error, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, no, this is actually okay, and this is the big push. Now, Magfield Accelerator does so much damage, and that's going to be the end of this hatchery. Look at those transfuses, not enough.
And you can see this composition, it really just cannot fight straight up against the Cyclones. Now these Queens get off green, but that's the end of one. That may be the end of 2, 3, and 4.
This is so good. Now, he does need to lock onto that Spine Crawler, which is getting a decent amount of defense done, but not for long. I love this build now because it looks way better than it did before.
Yeah, I mean, Lenok just hit a timing that shut it down so early, but once the Terran gets running away with this kind of build, and guys, we have not seen this in Korea. This is my second game seeing it, and it's my first game seeing it as it works, you know, as it was intended, right? So we're kind of just learning with you guys, and it's a really cool experience. Now he begins to add in tanks a little bit later, and it makes sense because you don't need the tanks super early with the very meta kind of defense that that Zergs are trying to go for nowadays.
Yeah, and I mean, Blue Flame is about to finish there as well, so even those tanks, when they do come out, are going to be very, very well defended. Now, oh man, what are you guys doing there? The Banelings walking up to the corner. Now, theoretically, that's to get picked up and then dropped into the main. Possibly you could also run them back by, but this is actually an interesting adaptation, just dropping everything. Now, the downside is that those Overlords will actually just die so quickly. And they don't have Overlord speed either, so that's actually about to finish. Okay, I was a little bit worried. It's like, you don't go for this big drop play with no Overlord speed.
The thing about this is that it's an interesting idea. You can get on top of the tanks before there's a lot. Also, you can get on top of the Cyclones. The Cyclones are good because they can kite for so long, but if they can't kite, well, you know, it's an interesting idea. The only thing is that, I mean, look at this. Look at how fast the Overlord dies. If INoVation sees this coming in, he can snipe 2, 3, 4 of those Overlords before they drop anything.
And so ideally, the micro positioning or the micro that Losira would have to do is to see which Overlords get locked in, dump the units out of them, and then use them as sort of meat shields for the rest of the Overlords to come in from behind and get these drops down where they need to be. Now, there are siege tanks out right now, and it doesn't look like Losira is looking to expand to take a fourth anytime soon. So we are going to see a push out from both players. I almost said both teams, but
that scan is so good because he sees not only is that base not saturated, but there's no lair. He's like, okay, what are you doing here? What's going on?
What's going on?
Let me make a wall. Let me be safe. We got a sensor tower here too. And Losira's going to go around it here. INoVation does need to see this coming in. He's making a second sensor tower, but
That's
it's not
where
time.
you want to build that, man. Here we go.
Close. It's not close. The Lynx
Oh
get in.
my God, how do you not make that wall tight? In fact, it's just going to drop absolutely everything all over INoVation's army. The Queens, Monarchs ruling this fight, and it doesn't even look like those siege tanks on the high ground are going to be able to stay alive.
He gets on top of those siege tanks, and that is the most important thing. With this build, there's no medevacs here to save the siege tanks. Isn't enough Zerg, though. He is going to snipe a bunch of these tanks, but eventually...
Oh, here comes the Speedling follow-up there, running into that wall, rather, of Sply Depot needs to repair that wall and make sure it doesn't go down. Now, this is where the Cyclones get a lot of value done, and so this push actually should be cleaned up. But how much damage has this done? Mech armies are so slow to replace.
And he's following this up, too. He's going to get on top of another tank. Really nice, split-second repair there to keep it alive here. And he needs to get some units over there to support that tank. Thankfully, he does just at the end.
That's how you know this is an imaginary video game, because when INoVation calls roadside assistance, they actually get there so fast.
Very, very true. But at the end of this, it's like he holds, And what is the tech of Losira? He has to go for a follow-up. He's crippled the army of the Terran, I suppose, but the production now is good enough that he can pump out 5 Hellbats at a time, 2 tanks. With the Liberator, it's going to be fantastic. A lot of those Queens in the first push have been taken out. He has remade up to 8 now. But it's not going to be an easy second push here. More so like desperation. There's even going to be +1 armor for these mech units as well.
Now it should be noted, when you look up at the worker tab, not only is Losira not taking a 4th base, but he's down almost 20 workers to the Terran player. Now that should just signal bad things for you. And you're starting to see him. Oh wow, he's actually losing some of those leading overlords that still have units in them, trying to drop everything on here. But is this push going to be as successful as the last? There's Liberated. There's tanks, there's Hellbats everywhere, but look at everything raining down from on high. Is this going to be the recipe for Losira to take KT to the next round? He's certainly looking a lot less good on that push than he was in the previous one.
Just not enough. It was the desperation second push, and where do you go from here? There's no transition point. GG, that's going to be it. We're going to an ace match, guys.
Damn. Okay, yes, turns out Zuri actually does run out of gas when you don't build a 4th base, don't go above 40 drones that game. The first push actually looks so scary, but the mechanical beast INoVation makes that Cyclone build work and makes it actually look pretty good.
That he does. If there's no pressure early on and all you have is Lings and Queens, by the way, Uv would get it.
Yeah,
just like last time, he'd get it this time too.
Yeah, nobody ever asked if he ever gets any jokes, because you already know if he gets it.
He would get it. Says it on the shirt.
Well, it also says sorry on the shirt, but we're not going to feel that guy anytime soon. Either way, it's tied up at 3-3, and that does mean that we will be going to an ace match. INoVation bringing it back almost kind of feels like Losira, kind of lost that game rather than INoVation winning it. He actually just sat in his base and defended, which does still take a lot of talent to do.
He kind of just made a composition, and Losira was like, I have this one push. I've got an idea. And it was close. It almost worked. I don't even know what he could have done all that much better either. He got the Queens on top of the tanks. Maybe he was fighting away from the tanks for too long. Like, if he got onto the tanks right away with his Queens, maybe then. Because he was fighting on the low ground for probably about 15 seconds while the tanks were sieging all of the Queens, all of the Lings.
And maybe because the mech army is so slow to build, you actually just win that fight and then go back and start your macro up. But I guess he figured that he was too far behind on drones and economy, that there was no way that he could come back in that situation. Tried the follow-up push, it did not work. And it's just what happens when you try to run into the impenetrable Terran wall.
Yes.
Apparently now I ran out of words, so I can't speak anymore. But either way, it's going to tie things up and take us to this ace match. And I'm always super excited to see exactly which players each team bring out. Are they, trained snipers? You're going to see Zaun come out again, man.
Who's it going to be? I mean, it's New Gettysburg. For New Gettysburg, the first time around, we have Stats versus Myungshik. I wouldn't mind seeing Stats once again. I'm not sure if TY is comfortable on this map. Zest is another interesting choice, because in the past it would always be Zest, but would it be today? Not 100% sure.
Well, this is where we get a chance to spoil things for you, but we're not going to.
We're not going
Good
to.
guy casters over here.
Now that we're on stage, it's unavoidable.
Oh, man.
You can see who they are.
The ace match coming up. SK Telecom versus versus KT. Gonna take the S off there. For our ace match, this is where we cut to an anticlimactic commercial break.
No.
No.
We're
actually
that would be the biggest troll of all time. We're not going to do that to you guys here.
Oh, the lights are off in the Nexon Arena. Who will it be? The ace match players for SKT and KT are
standing in the dark. Who it's going to be? Stats versus INoVation.
Oh, man.
Gettysburg.
INoVation, having just finished doing things he is not sorry for, even though it says that on his jersey. A battle of the Razer-sponsored teams here in the Pro League. It's going to be INoVation versus Stats.
He's wearing that sorry shirt. It's throwing me off so much. I'm like, is that a prank, SKT?
I was trying to make a joke about that earlier, but then I was also actually kind of confused because it's like, well, wait, no, he's not sorry. He just won that game for the team. So, yeah, we're going to see INoVation back again, and bold decision there by SKT not fielding Dart.
Guys, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back,